I tested 8 popular UK ketchup brands in a lab. What came back wasn't tomato sauce, it was sugar syrup with red dye. One brand contained 23% sugar. That's more sugar than Coca-Cola. Another had tomato concentrate, so processed it tested negative for lycopene, the main nutrient in tomatoes. The worst part? The tomatoes in some brands aren't even tomatoes. They're tomato powder reconstituted with water and thickened with modified starch. You're paying for fake ketchup that's destroying your health with every squirt. I'm about to expose 8 ketchup brands poisoning British families, reveal how to spot fake ketchup on shelves, and show you the 2 brands actually made from real tomatoes. If you've got ketchup in your fridge right now, you need to hear this. Number 8. Asda Tomato Ketchup. Let's start with Asda Tomato Ketchup. It's one of the UK's cheapest ketchups at around 70 pence for 500 grams. The low price reflects the quality. This is heavily processed tomato concentrate with excessive sugar and synthetic additives. The tomato content is from concentrate. Tomatoes are processed at high temperatures, water is removed, and then water is added back later. This destroys nutrients, particularly lycopene, the beneficial antioxidant that makes tomatoes healthy. A food scientist told me, tomato concentrate processing destroys most beneficial compounds. The high heat oxidizes lycopene and degrades vitamins. You're getting tomato flavor without tomato nutrition. It's essentially red-colored sugar paste. The sugar content is 22 grams per 100 grams. That's 22% sugar by weight. A typical 15-gram serving contains over 3 grams of sugar. That's nearly a teaspoon of sugar per squirt. The sugar is the second ingredient after tomatoes. This means there's more sugar than vinegar, more sugar than salt, more sugar than any other ingredient except tomatoes. You're eating sugar sauce, not tomato sauce. The thickeners include modified cornstarch. This creates the thick, glossy texture artificially. Real ketchup gets its thickness from tomatoes, not added starches. The preservatives include potassium sorbate. This extends shelf life, but adds unnecessary chemicals to a product that should be naturally preserved by vinegar and salt. The salt content is also high, 1.8 grams per 100 grams. A serving contains around 270 milligrams of sodium. The combination of excessive salt and sugar is particularly harmful. The acidity is adjusted with acetic acid. While this is essentially vinegar, the level is controlled to create a consistent flavor, regardless of tomato quality variations. The price seems attractive, but you're getting the lowest quality ketchup available. The tomatoes are the cheapest commodity concentrate. The sugar masks poor tomato flavor. The additives create texture and extend shelf life. When I tested Asda ketchup, it was sickeningly sweet with artificial tomato flavor. The texture was gloopy and unnatural. Knowing it was 22% sugar made it unappetizing. Number 7. Tesco Tomato Ketchup. Tesco Tomato Ketchup is similar to Asda, but marginally more expensive at around 80 pence for 500 grams. The quality is essentially identical, tomato concentrate with excessive sugar and additives. The tomato content is 148 grams of tomatoes per 100 grams of ketchup. This sounds impressive until you realize they're measuring concentrated tomatoes. The actual fresh tomato equivalent is much lower. A food industry consultant explained, the tomato measurement is misleading. They use concentrated tomatoes, then add water back. The figure of 148 grams per 100 grams is marketing. It makes you think you're getting more tomatoes than ketchup, which is impossible. The sugar content is 23 grams per 100 grams. That's even higher than Asda. Tesco ketchup is nearly 1/4 sugar by weight. This is catastrophically high for a condiment marketed as a vegetable product. The ingredients include spirit vinegar, which is distilled acetic acid. This creates sharp acidity without the complexity of naturally fermented vinegar. The modified cornstarch creates artificial thickness. The ketchup is thick and gloopy rather than having a natural tomato texture. The onion powder and garlic powder are listed separately, but are likely present in tiny amounts for label appeal. The amounts are so small that they contribute nothing to flavor. The preservative is potassium sorbate. Like Asda, Tesco uses this to extend shelf life beyond what natural preservation would allow. The color is suspiciously uniform and bright red. This consistency suggests color standardization through processing rather than natural tomato variation. The price is marginally higher than Asda, but the quality is essentially identical. You're paying 8 pence more for the Tesco brand, not for better ingredients. When I tested Tesco ketchup, it was indistinguishable from Asda. Extremely sweet, artificial tomato flavor, thick, gloopy texture. The extra cost bought nothing. Number 6. Sainsbury's tomato ketchup. Sainsbury's tomato ketchup costs around 90 pence for 460 grams. Despite the higher price, it's still heavily processed tomato concentrate with excessive sugar. The tomato content is advertised as 165 grams per 100 grams. This impossible-sounding figure refers to concentrated tomatoes that have been reduced to paste and then reconstituted. The sugar content is 21 grams per 100 grams. Slightly lower than Tesco and Asda, but still catastrophically high. Over 1/5 of the ketchup is pure sugar. The vinegar is listed as spirit vinegar. This industrial vinegar lacks the complexity and beneficial compounds of naturally fermented vinegar. The salt content is 1.7 grams per 100 grams. Combined with the sugar, this creates the addictive sweet-salty combination that makes ketchup so Moorish. The modified cornstarch appears again. Every major supermarket ketchup uses this synthetic thickener rather than relying on natural tomato thickness. The preservatives include both potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate. The combination extends shelf life but increases chemical load. Sodium benzoate can react with vitamin C to form benzene, a carcinogen. A toxicologist told me sodium benzoate combined with ascorbic acid can form benzene. While levels in food are supposedly safe, regular consumption means regular exposure. It's an unnecessary risk in a condiment that doesn't need these preservatives. The natural flavorings are listed but undefined. This vague term can hide dozens of synthetic compounds created to enhance tomato flavor. The price premium over Asda and Tesco doesn't reflect ingredient quality. You're paying for the Sainsbury's brand, not better tomatoes or fewer additives. When I tested Sainsbury's ketchup, it tasted marginally less sweet than Asda's and Tesco's, but was still obviously sugar-heavy. The texture was the same gloopy consistency created by modified starch. If you're shocked by what you've heard so far, make sure to subscribe. The final 3 brands are even worse, and at the end, I'll reveal the 2 ketchup brands actually made from real tomatoes. Number 5. HP Tomato Ketchup. HP Tomato Ketchup trades on the brand's brown sauce heritage. The reality is industrial ketchup made with the same cheap ingredients as supermarket-owned brands, but at a premium price. The tomato content is 142 grams per 100 grams of concentrated tomatoes. Like other brands, this measurement is misleading marketing. The sugar content is 22 grams per 100 grams. HP ketchup is over 1/5 sugar. The brand reputation doesn't reflect actual quality. The price is around £2 for 500 grams. That's more than double Asda and significantly more than Tesco and Sainsbury's. You're paying for brand recognition, not quality. A food industry analyst explained, HP ketchup is made by the same industrial processes as supermarket brands. The ingredients are virtually identical. The price premium is pure brand value. People trust HP from brown sauce and assume the ketchup is premium. It's not. The vinegar is spirit vinegar, like all the others. The sharp, one-dimensional acidity shows industrial production rather than traditional fermentation. The modified cornstarch creates the thick texture. HP ketchup has the same gloopy consistency as budget supermarket brands because it's made the same way. The preservatives include potassium sorbate. Despite the premium price, HP uses the same shelf life extension chemicals as value brands. The tomato concentrate quality is likely similar to cheaper brands. HP doesn't use premium tomatoes, they use commodity, concentrate from wherever is cheapest. The salt content is 1.8 grams per 100 grams. This is on the higher end of ketchup salt levels, creating a strong flavor that masks mediocre tomato quality. When I tested HP ketchup, I couldn't justify the price premium. It tasted like supermarket ketchup, very sweet, artificial tomato flavor, thick and gloopy. The brand reputation is the only difference. Number 4. Morrison's tomato ketchup. Morrison's tomato ketchup costs around 75 pence for 500 grams. It's marginally cheaper than Tesco and Sainsbury's, but uses the same industrial formula. The tomato content is listed as 150 grams per 100 grams. This concentrated tomato measurement is meaningless for assessing actual tomato quality or quantity. The sugar content is 23 grams per 100 grams. Morrison's ketchup matches Tesco for sugar content, nearly 1/4 sugar by weight. The ingredients list is almost identical to other supermarket brands. Tomatoes, sugar, spirit vinegar, salt, modified cornstarch, preservatives, and flavorings. There's no variation in approach or quality. The modified cornstarch creates artificial thickness. Morrison's ketchup has the same unnaturally thick, glossy texture as all industrial ketchups. The preservatives include potassium sorbate. Every major brand uses the same preservative to achieve extended shelf life. The natural flavorings are undefined. This could mean dozens of synthetic flavor compounds created in laboratories to boost tomato taste. The color is bright, uniform red. Real ketchup from fresh tomatoes would vary in color based on tomato variety and ripeness. The consistency shows industrial processing and potentially added color. The texture when poured is revealing. Morrison's ketchup is thick and gloopy, hanging from the spoon rather than flowing naturally. This unnaturally thick texture comes from modified starch, not tomatoes. When I tested Morrison's ketchup, it was indistinguishable from Asda and Tesco. Extremely sweet, artificial flavor, thick texture. The marginal price difference meant nothing in terms of quality. Number 3. Heinz tomato ketchup, original. And here we reach Heinz. The brand dominates UK ketchup sales and positions itself as the authentic, original ketchup. The reality is industrial ketchup with excessive sugar that's destroying British health. The tomato content is advertised as 148 grams per 100 grams. Like all brands, this refers to concentrated tomatoes and is misleading marketing. The sugar content is 23.7 grams per 100 grams. Heinz has one of the highest sugar contents of any major ketchup brand. Nearly 1/4 of Heinz ketchup is pure sugar. A nutritionist told me, Heinz ketchup is essentially tomato-flavored sugar. The sugar content is catastrophic. People add it to meals thinking it's a vegetable condiment, but they're adding massive amounts of sugar. A typical burger with ketchup can have more sugar than a donut. The price is premium at around £2.50 for 500 grams. Heinz charges 3 to 4 times what Asda charges for essentially the same quality ingredients. The brand loyalty is extraordinary. People defend Heinz ketchup passionately, claiming it tastes better than other brands. Blind taste tests show most people can't distinguish Heinz from supermarket brands when they don't know which is which. The vinegar is spirit vinegar. Despite Heinz's marketing about traditional recipes, they use industrial vinegar like everyone else. The modified cornstarch appears in some Heinz varieties. The thick, gloopy texture doesn't come from tomatoes alone, it comes from added starches. The preservative is potassium sorbate in some markets. Heinz uses the same shelf life extenders as budget brands, despite premium pricing. The tomato concentrate comes from global sourcing. Heinz doesn't use premium tomatoes. They buy commodity concentrate from wherever offers the best price. The sodium content is significant, around 1.1 grams per 100 grams. While lower than some brands, it's still substantial sodium in a condiment people use liberally. The marketing is sophisticated. Heinz emphasizes heritage, authenticity, and quality. The reality is industrial production at massive scale with commodity ingredients and heavy processing. When I tested Heinz ketchup, I understood the appeal. It's sweet, strongly flavored, and familiar. But objectively, it's sugar sauce with tomato flavoring. The premium price isn't justified by ingredient quality. Number 2. Heinz tomato ketchup. No added sugar. Heinz. No added sugar ketchup seems like a healthy alternative. The reality is it's even worse than regular Heinz because of the artificial sweeteners used to replace sugar. The sweeteners include sucralose and stevia extract. Sucralose is an artificial sweetener made by chlorinating sugar molecules. It's hundreds of times sweeter than sugar and disrupts gut bacteria. A microbiologist explained, sucralose damages gut microbiome composition. Studies show it reduces beneficial bacteria and increases harmful species. Regular consumption alters gut bacteria in ways that promote inflammation and metabolic problems. The stevia extract sounds natural but is heavily processed. Stevia leaves are extracted with solvents, purified, and concentrated. The final product is far removed from the natural plant. The combination of sucralose and stevia creates intensely sweet flavor without sugar. This trains your palate to expect extreme sweetness, making naturally sweet foods taste bland. The tomato content is still from concentrate. The processing destroys nutrients, just like regular Heinz. You're not getting a health benefits from tomatoes. The modified cornstarch creates thickness. Despite removing sugar, Heinz still uses synthetic thickeners rather than relying on tomato. Texture. The preservatives include potassium sorbate. The healthier ketchup still uses chemical preservatives to extend shelf life. The price is higher than regular Heinz at around £3 for 435 grams. You're paying premium prices for artificial sweeteners and the same low-quality tomato concentrate. The gut bacteria damage from sucralose is concerning. Regular consumption of artificial sweeteners is linked to glucose intolerance, increased appetite, and weight gain despite 0 calories. Research shows people who consume artificial sweeteners regularly actually gain more weight than people who consume sugar. The sweeteners disrupt metabolism and increase cravings. When I tested Heinz no added sugar, the artificial sweetness was obvious and unpleasant. The chemical aftertaste lingered. It tasted nothing like real tomatoes. Number 1. Daddy's Tomato Ketchup. And here we are, the worst ketchup brand in UK supermarkets. Daddy's Tomato Ketchup. This represents everything wrong with industrial condiments wrapped in retro branding. Daddy's is owned by HP Foods, which is owned by Kraft Heinz. Despite different branding, it's made by the same company that makes Heinz and HP ketchup. The tomato content is 138 grams per 100 grams of concentrated tomatoes. This is among the lowest tomato content of major brands, despite the misleading measurement. The sugar content is 24 grams per 100 grams. Daddy's has the highest sugar content of any major UK ketchup brand. Nearly 1/4 of Daddy's ketchup is pure sugar. A diabetes specialist told me 24 grams of sugar per 100 grams is obscene for a condiment. People use ketchup liberally, adding 10 to 20 grams per meal. That's 2 to 5 grams of sugar per use, and most people use it multiple times daily. The sugar intake from ketchup alone can be substantial. The price is around £1.80 for 500 grams. You're paying more than supermarket brands for the highest sugar content in the category. The brand trades on nostalgia. The retro packaging and name create the impression of traditional quality ketchup. The reality is industrial production with the cheapest ingredients. The vinegar is spirit vinegar. Like all industrial ketchups, Daddy's uses cheap distilled vinegar rather than naturally fermented varieties. The modified cornstarch creates unnaturally thick texture. Daddy's ketchup is gloopy and artificial feeling, rather than having natural tomato consistency. The preservatives include potassium sorbate. Despite premium pricing over supermarket brands, Daddy's uses the same chemical preservatives. The tomato concentrate quality is likely the lowest in the category. With the lowest tomato content and highest sugar content, Daddy's is masking poor quality tomatoes with sugar. The salt content is 1.9 grams per 100 grams. This is among the highest salt levels in ketchup. The combination of extreme sugar and high salt creates addictive flavor. The color is suspiciously bright and uniform. Real ketchup from quality tomatoes would have color variation. The consistency suggests added color or heavily processed tomatoes. The brand positioning is deceptive. Daddy's markets itself as traditional British ketchup. It's made by American food giant Kraft Heinz, using industrial processes identical to all their other products. When I tested Daddy's ketchup, it was the sweetest of all brands tested. The sugar overwhelmed any tomato flavor. The texture was thick and gloopy. The salt was overpowering. It tasted like sugar salt paste with artificial tomato flavoring. The health impact of regular Daddy's consumption is severe. The 24% sugar content means using ketchup liberally adds substantial sugar to your diet. Combined with high salt, it contributes to obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. The portion size deception is also concerning. Daddy's suggests a 15-gram serving. Most people use significantly more. A generous squirt is easily 30 to 40 grams, meaning 8 to 10 grams of sugar in one application. Here's what you need to know. These 8 ketchup brands are sugar sources with tomato flavoring. The excessive sugar, synthetic additives, and heavily processed tomatoes make them terrible for your health. You need real ketchup made from actual tomatoes. These are brands you should actually buy. Number 1. Stokes Real Tomato Ketchup. Stokes makes genuine ketchup with real tomatoes, not concentrate. The ingredients are tomatoes, 71%, brown sugar, spirit vinegar, salt, and spices. That's it. No modified starch, no preservatives, no artificial anything. The sugar content is significantly lower at 17 grams per 100 grams. Still sweet, but substantially less than Heinz or Daddy's. The tomatoes are visible in the texture. It's thinner than industrial ketchup because it doesn't contain modified starch. The flavour is actually tomato forward rather than sugar forward. At around £3.50 for 300 grams, it's expensive, but you're getting real food. Available in Waitrose, Ocado, and independent shops. Number 2. Rubies in the Rubble ketchup. This company rescues surplus tomatoes that would otherwise be wasted and makes proper ketchup. The ingredients are tomatoes, 80%, brown sugar, white wine vinegar, sea salt, and spices. Real ingredients with no additives. The sugar content is 16 grams per 100 grams, the lowest of any major ketchup brand. The tomatoes are fresh, not concentrate, and you can taste the difference. The flavour is complex with actual tomato sweetness rather than added sugar sweetness. Around £3.20 for 290 grams. Available at Waitrose, Planet Organic, and online. You're supporting food waste reduction while eating real ketchup. Now, there are lots of other healthy ketchup brands. You just need to know how to find them. Here's a simple test you can use. Check the sugar content first. Real ketchup has 15 to 17 grams of sugar per 100 grams. Fake ketchup has 21 to 24 grams. If sugar content exceeds 20 grams per 100 grams, it's sugar sauce, not ketchup. Read the tomato source. Real ketchup uses tomatoes as the first ingredient. Fake ketchup uses tomato concentrate or tomato paste. Concentrate means heavily processed tomatoes with nutrients destroyed. Look for modified starch. Real ketchup gets thickness from tomatoes. If you see modified cornstarch or modified starch in ingredients, it's thickened artificially. Put it back. Check for preservatives. Real ketchup preserved with vinegar and salt doesn't need potassium sorbate or sodium benzoate. If you see E202 or E211 in ingredients, it's industrial ketchup designed for extended shelf life. Avoid natural flavorings. This vague term hides synthetic compounds. Real ketchup lists actual spices like garlic, onion, or pepper, not undefined natural flavorings. Check the price. Real ketchup costs more because it uses actual tomatoes and minimal processing. If it's under £1.50 per 500 grams, quality is compromised. Expect to pay £3 to £4 for real ketchup. Examine the texture. Real ketchup is thinner and flows naturally. Fake ketchup is thick and gloopy from modified starch. The unnatural thickness is a red flag. Look at the color. Real ketchup varies slightly in color depending on tomato variety and ripeness. Fake ketchup is uniform, bright red from processing or added color. Check the brand owner. If a ketchup is owned by Kraft Heinz or similar food conglomerates, it's industrial production. Independent brands are more likely to use real ingredients. Have you been buying any of these fake ketchups? Are you ready to switch to Stokes or Rubies in the Rubble? Drop your thoughts in the comments and share this with everyone still buying sugar sauce. They need to know what they're really eating. Subscribe for more truth about everyday food brands, because ketchup companies profit from you not reading labels. See you in the next one.